On April 1st, 2026, 4 astronauts blasted off from Kennedy Space Center and pointed themselves at the moon. For the first time in over 50 years, humans are heading toward lunar space. But this isn't Apollo 2.0. This isn't just about planting a flag, taking some photos, and coming home. This time, America is not just going to visit the moon. America is going to live there. And the reason why has everything to do with what China is building on the other side of the solar system, and why the next decade might be the most consequential in human history. This is NASA's multistage plan to colonize the moon and beat China to do it. Let's be real for a second. Why does NASA suddenly care so much about the moon again? 2 words: lunar South Pole. The South Pole of the moon is unlike anywhere else in the solar system. It has permanently shadowed craters that scientists believe are packed with water ice. Actual water, trapped in the darkness for billions of years. And water isn't just for drinking up there. You can split H2O into hydrogen and oxygen, which happen to be 2 of the key ingredients in rocket fuel. The moon, as one space strategist put it, is the ultimate high ground. Whoever controls the lunar South Pole controls the future of deep space travel. It's a cosmic gas station, a strategic outpost, and the gateway to Mars. That's why both NASA and China are sprinting toward the exact same patch of terrain. Both nations want the South Pole to be the site of their crewed outposts. There's only so much prime real estate up there, and whoever gets there first gets to set the rules. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman didn't mince words. We find ourselves with a real geopolitical rival, challenging American leadership in the high ground of space. So let's talk about the plan. NASA's Artemis program is not one mission. It's a ladder, a carefully structured series of increasingly ambitious steps designed to get boots permanently on the moon. The program is organized around missions of increasing complexity, intended to be spaced roughly a year apart. Step 1. Artemis I, 2022, proving the hardware works. In November 2022, NASA launched an uncrewed Orion capsule on the brand-new Space Launch System rocket, the most powerful rocket America has ever built. The SLS stands 322 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty, and is about 15% more powerful than the original Saturn V that took Apollo astronauts to the moon. Artemis I orbited the moon and came home. The hardware worked. The era had begun. Step 2. Artemis II, 2026, humans return to deep space. This is the mission that just launched. The Artemis II mission, which took off on April 1st at 6:35 p.m. Eastern, marks the first crewed flight of NASA's Artemis program, a long-term plan to return humans to the moon and eventually establish a lunar settlement. On board are astronauts Christina Koch, Victor Glover, Reed Wiseman, and Jeremy Hansen. They're not landing, not yet. This is a lunar flyby, a shakedown cruise. They'll swing around the far side of the moon, test every system on the spacecraft, and come home. But make no mistake, they blaze toward the moon, breaking free of the chains that have trapped humanity in shallow laps around Earth in the decades since Apollo. Step 3. Artemis III, 2027, testing the landers. Here's where things get interesting and a little complicated. In late February 2026, NASA expedited Artemis III to 2027, but it will no longer land on the moon. Instead, it will conduct rendezvous and docking tests in low Earth orbit with one or both commercially developed lunar landers, SpaceX's Starship HLS and Blue Origin's Blue Moon, and test the new Axiom spacesuit. Think of it like a dress rehearsal. No lunar landing yet, but the technology is being stress-tested before the real thing. Step 4. Artemis IV, 2028, humans land on the moon. This is the big one. NASA is pursuing a crewed landing in 2028. Astronauts will launch to the moon in an Orion capsule atop the Space Launch System, and then be ferried to the surface by a commercial lunar lander. 2 astronauts will descend to the lunar South Pole, the most resource-rich and strategically vital region on the moon, and begin the work of understanding how to live there permanently. Step 5. Artemis V and beyond, building the base. After Artemis IV, the pace accelerates dramatically. NASA has announced it is increasing its mission cadence under Artemis, with at least one surface landing every year thereafter. NASA expects to begin building its moon base, provisionally called Artemis Base Camp, starting around Artemis V. And what does that base look like? Administrator Isaac Mann described it as, for perhaps a decade after its foundation, resembling a futuristic junkyard with lots of landers and rovers around, before eventually gaining more pretty cool infrastructure. Honest answer. And also kind of exciting. One key piece of that infrastructure. NASA has plans to install a fission nuclear reactor on the moon by 2030, powering the base, enabling long-duration stays, and taking humanity's first permanent foothold off Earth. Now here's the part that makes this feel urgent. China is not watching from the sidelines. China is aiming to land its first astronauts on the moon by 2030, using its Lanhua lander and Long March 10 rocket, with the goal of setting up a presence at the lunar South Pole. And they're not stopping there. China's plan for its International Lunar Research Station follows a two-phase timeline. The first phase involves launching 5 super heavy-lift rockets between 2030 and 2035, delivering components needed to build a robotic moon base at the lunar South Pole. A fully extended model, a comprehensive network utilizing a lunar orbit station as central hub and a South Pole station as primary base, is planned for around 2050. China is even thinking about where future lunar settlers will actually live. Scientists are investigating lunar lava tubes, ancient volcanic tunnels beneath the moon's surface, as natural shelters that offer protection from cosmic radiation, micrometeorite impacts, and extreme temperature swings. The ILRS stands in direct competition with NASA's Artemis program. Both aim to establish a base at the same location, the lunar South Pole. And critically, some experts warn that if China establishes a base on the South Pole before the U.S. and claims the territory, it could effectively determine international standards for the entire region. Former NASA Administrator Bill Nelson has gone further, warning that China could dominate key resources on the moon and potentially exclude other countries. This is not science fiction. This is geopolitics, happening right now, 240,000 miles above your head. So who's ahead? Right now, America has a meaningful lead. Artemis II is in flight today, with humans already heading toward the moon. China's crewed lunar mission is still years away, but the gap is narrowing. China has a track record of hitting its space targets, landing on the far side of the moon, returning lunar samples, building its own space station. They've gone from launching 1 or 2 science satellites to launching dozens. They've landed enormous payloads on the moon. Their capabilities are accelerating fast. The NASA Authorization Act of 2026, passed by the Senate Commerce Committee in March, explicitly directs NASA to create a permanent moon base so that we can get there before China does. That's the United States Congress writing a race into law. NASA's stated goal is economic benefits, scientific discovery, and building a foundation for the first crewed mission to Mars. But let's be honest, the geopolitical stakes are just as real as the scientific ones. The moon isn't just about science. It's about who shapes the rules of humanity's next chapter. Here's the thing that I keep coming back to. For 50 years, the moon was just a destination we visited, a place we went to prove a point during the Cold War, then abandoned. Now it's something else entirely. It's the next frontier of human civilization. And the question of who builds the first permanent home there, who sets up the first power plant, who maps the water ice, who establishes the norms and the infrastructure, that question will echo for centuries. NASA's Artemis program is the most ambitious step toward answering it on America's terms. And with 4 astronauts heading toward the moon right now as you watch this video, it just got very, very real. The moon race is back. And this time, we're not leaving.